like a
threat. Really, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger. I'm a threat. I'm a gamble with your life, cause you know that it's okay. It's okay. You know I ain't letting up, my foot is on your neck. Take my word for it, it's a promise and a threat. Really, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger. I'm a threat. I'm a
here to judge anybody. We want to handle this with love, right? You want to tell him how his drug abuse has hurt you, maybe hurt himself. Okay, Harold, what time did you tell him to be here?
5 o'clock, but he's always late.
No, he'll be here. In 3, 2, 1.
Is this a 5 o'clock free crack giveaway?
Welcome.
Free crack giveaway.
That's right.
I brought that shit.
Y'all missed it. Y'all missed it. It was 5 o'clock, man. It's too late now.
Well, welcome everyone to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We are here tonight going to be talking about the 3rd episode of the Book of Boba Fett. We thought we'd take a little break from the MCU films and give you a little bit of this Boba Fett show that has just recently concluded with the 7th and final episode just yesterday. And so we are a little behind, as you can see, we're only doing the 3rd episode. We will be doing the other 4 episodes as well. So keep coming back and checking them out, but we'll be talking about episode 3 tonight. So we have a huge panel tonight, as you can see. We have quite a few new faces and some great people returning. Of course, we have returning Miss Kat Holler, who you might recognize from GNN, who is a staff writer for them. Say hi, Kat.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We have returning also Mr. Gunnar, who was on a previous show the other day with us and has, frequently collaborated the last couple times, I feel, over the last couple weeks or so with us. And he is a part of the Snap and MCU Podcast. Welcome, Gunnar.
Thank you.
We also have returning, who's usually in our comments section. This is his first time on the big screen with us on a Wednesday night, Mr. Jeff Bowman. Welcome, sir.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Great to have you. And of course, we have Mr. Jeff S., Mr. Jeff Sloboda, TrueKnowledge, he, of course, in the house, my co-host here of the MCU Edge. And then, like I said, we have 2 new people joining us. To start us off, we have this newcomer, Miss Maddie, who is joining us for the first time as an MCU fan. Welcome, Maddie.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. And then also we have joining us for the first time on our panel, Miss Tony Kaz.
Miss?
No.
Miss? Son of a boogers. It's
joining us on Mr. Tony Kaz. And he is a part of the Podguyz Podcast, and we want to thank you for joining us, Mr.
Thank you.
I said Mr. It just sounded like Mrs.
I don't know.
Anyways, so thank you for joining us all, and welcome to this show. So, Mr. Jeff, if you have those trailers ready for us, we'll start off with the trailer promos for episode 3.
And the actual official Boba Fett trailer.
And
I just want to mention, Kat Holler is also a full-fledged member of the Geek Gauntlet Podcast. Yes. Shout out to William and Shaw and Janae over at Geek Gauntlet Podcast. We love all you guys.
I am not a bounty hunter. I've heard otherwise. I know that you sit on the throne of your former employer. Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to rule with respect.
You were all once captains under Jabba the Hutt.
I'm here to make a proposal that's mutually beneficial. Why speak of conflict when cooperation can make us all rich?
What prevents us all from killing you and taking what we want?
If you had spoken such insolence to Jabba, he'd have fed you to his menagerie.
Please, speak freely.
I've spent years living in my father's shadow. Now it's time to cast my own.
I am not a bounty hunter. I've heard otherwise.
It's been a long time.
I know that you sit on the throne of your former employer. Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to rule with respect.
You were all once captains under Jabba the Hutt.
I'm here to make a proposal that's mutually beneficial.
What prevents us all from killing you and taking what we want?
If you had spoken such insolence to Jabba, he'd have fed you to his menagerie.
Why speak of conflict when cooperation can make us all rich?
My bounty hunting days are over. But my rule is just beginning. This is the way.
Hello, welcome back. So those were the main trailers.
We're here to see the mayor. We have a few questions for him.
Unfortunately,
Don't ask me what the deal was with that. That was the video.
We're here to see the mayor. We have a few questions.
Well, no, he shouldn't.
Sorry about that, Cyber. Something wrong with that video.
Okay.
Someone really wants us to watch that scene.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently.
They just wanted to know they were there to see the mayor.
Yeah. So that is in that episode, people. So yeah. So it was kind of part of the review. So that's kind of good. Anyway, so as you can just saw, we saw the full trailer and then, of course, the episode recap for episode 3, which is called "The Streets of Mos Espa." And of course, this show is brought to us by, of course, John Favreau, who also brought The Mandalorian to us, and is just a very interesting, been a very interesting TV series so far. Up to this point, I mean, I don't want to go any further than this episode, so I don't want to give away too much. But up to this point, the first 3 episodes were a very intriguing 3 episodes, and this one I felt wasn't that bad. Even though it was a very short episode, only 37 minutes long, I believe it was, or 38, and it still was very, packed with a lot of action and just was a really fun episode. So basically this episode starts off, we got that, just like in the trailer showed, those like spider-like creatures that had like that red globe thing underneath them walking in front of where Jabba's used to be lair is. And all of a sudden it goes in and basically Boba Fett sitting in the throne along with Ming-Na Wen, who plays Fennec Shand. and the droid is basically going over some proposals with them and stuff going on within Tatooine, and this droid is so beautifully voiced by Matt Berry, who is an English actor, comedian who we all have seen in What We Do in the Shadows TV series. And when I found that out that he did the voice of that droid, I was laughing my butt off because it was like, oh, that is him. And all I could think of was his character, Jackie Daytona from What We Do in the Shadows, as he's talking. So props to Matt Berry for that performance of that voiceover of that droid. But so basically we have that scene, and then all of a sudden we get introduced to a character that's played by the great Stephen Root. Now, Stephen Root, you might recognize, of course, from Office Space, Dodgeball, all kinds of different films. And when he popped to the screen as that, like, water seller, that was hilarious, and I thought was a great addition to this episode. So my first question for the panel is, what was your thoughts on Stephen Root being casted in the Book of Boba Fett Episode 3? Let's start with you, Maddie.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know much about him, so I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's pretty good casting altogether.
I take it Maddie never saw Office Space.
No, I haven't.
That's okay. You got to remember.
Oh.
Maddie is all
That is a
15.
watch. That is a watch.
Yeah, put that on your bucket list. Watch that. It's a great film.
I feel so bad that I don't have my red stapler handy.
No doubt. The swing line.
Yep.
Did anyone see my stapler? Did anyone see my stapler?
I love Stephen Root, and I thought he did a great job in this, but it's so hard to see Stephen Root in Star Wars and not be taken out of it. I kind of felt the same way about Danny Trejo. And I think with the casting that they did, at least the original and the prequels, outside of Sam Jackson, who just played Sam Jackson in space, I thought the casting was so good because it didn't really take me out of it. I mean, I knew who Natalie Portman was from Leon, and I knew who Ewan McGregor was from just being Dennis Lawson's nephew and Brassed Off and all those great movies, but it didn't take me out of it. Stephen Root, for whatever reason, for a second took me out of it, but he did great. He did everything he was supposed to, but I think he's just so recognizable from Office Space and from everything he's done that it took me out of it for a split sec.
Although I did kind of like the way that they did have him cast as a very similar character. Sarah, they took my water. Like, I mean, really, that was his whole complaint. He's the guy that, like, everyone's kind of like, oh,
taking
that
something
guy.
from him. Yeah.
It comes across as that real finicky asshole.
Yes, exactly. Like
a real finicky asshole.
Well,
you know that he's up to no good. You just don't know what.
I just want to point out that the wonderful and awesome Sarah Finn cast this series, and she also cast The Mandalorian. And so, Gunnar, I get what you're saying, but I mean, for as far as I'm concerned, I think the casting is, for me, I haven't finished The Mandalorian yet, but what I've seen of Boba Fett so far, I think Sarah Finn did a great job casting this series.
He did. Also, I just love seeing the Bomar monk at the beginning. I mean, that's something that, we see briefly in Return of the Jedi, and anyone that's read any of the novels, I mean, they show up again and again. They're in the Clone Wars, but it's just cool seeing these background characters. Same thing with Matt Berry's droid. I want to say 88 is his name, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, that droid is from Return of the Jedi. It's in the background. You see it torturing a gonk droid. So it's cool seeing these background characters get brought to the forefront, even if just for a minute.
Yep. All right. So going back into order, Kat, did you have anything else you'd like to say about Stephen Root?
I mean, really, it did. I kind of had the same impact that Gunnar had. Like, for a second, it was like, wait a minute. Like, he's the stapler guy. What's he doing here? But at the same time, as his character kind of keeps sitting there groveling, it made a little more sense at that point.
Okay. Thank you. How about you, Tony?
Look, I have a totally different view on this. I think that the casting itself was okay. Very mediocre at best. I feel like they made a miss, especially up into the third episode. And I feel like they were losing the mainstream Boba Fett watcher. And that's just in general. The whole series, I figured, was written a little weirdly. They tried to introduce certain characters, of course, through each episode going up into episode 3, especially with the Jabbas, or not the Jabbas, the Hutts, the brother-sister combination. And I felt like that kind of missed its mark a little bit too, going into episode 3. And especially where they were supposed to take the mark of Jabba the Hutt, they were his brother and sister, correct?
They're his cousins.
His cousins.
The cousins, okay.
But
right.
They'd already kind of failed to claim that when Jabba first died.
Correct. So I feel like they were kind of throwing in there just as a little bit of filler character to process the story a little bit better.
I just think Bib Fortuna gained so much weight since Return of the Jedi. They just thought he was a Hutt. They didn't even realize Jabba was gone.
Yeah. And I felt like it was just a lot of pressure for the writers to make each episode a banger. Like and that's the thing. Like, you have to go into these episodes, especially with Star Wars, not necessarily on a decline, but because of the fan base leaving Star Wars because it's become so washed down. It has been Disney to death. And unfortunately, like, I have a Disney hat on right now. I support Disney. I like Disney. I don't like the fact that Disney's everything.
Disneyfied. That's the term we use around here. Disneyfied.
Disneyfied, yeah. And I feel like even up into the third episode here, they Disneyfied everything and they watered it down for the mainstream watcher. But, you know, not to foresee any other episodes coming in, they did what they did best, and they brought forward the main characters that were supposed to be put in forward. And I felt like Boba Fett was really, really lost. Even going into episode 3, I felt like the character was a sleeper. He, was a snore fest. Things weren't going on the way that they had planned to write it out. And going into this episode where he's just, very blasé about everything. Well, looks like I need to take care of the city. Well, Danny Trejo comes in with the Rancor. I felt like that scene in particular didn't really spark it for me like the way it was supposed to, because it's Danny Trejo. That man is an iconic legend in film history. Even with the water scene where they get these little punk kids on the motor scooters. All right. Did it wow anyone? Did it wow anybody in this panel right here where you were just like, oh, look at this ragtag bunch of kids who are getting now hired by Boba Fett to fight this, so-called battle that's going to be going on. So they foretell the battles of things that are going to go on in the city. But did that surprise anybody?
I wouldn't say necessarily surprise, because we know that he needs to start amassing his own people.
Correct.
I don't think as a Star Wars fan, yeah. Well, but as a Star Wars fan, it does make sense because he's recruiting the people that know the land. He doesn't have, especially with the way that Mandalore is kind of cast to the wind, so to speak, and you have all these different factions of Mandalorians that are also cast to the wind, including the clones, that the one thing that he does know works is having people who know the area you're in. And that is a battle strategy that is as old as time.
These kids do know the city, which is, it's very appropriate. But then you have and not to say
I just thought that they were fucking stupid looking.
Yeah, yes, very, very, very weird looking. I felt like it was as watered down as Disney is going to put it for people who are mechanical modders and people who have done things to their body to make them more machine-like. Whoa! I love the backstory behind it. Skeletor! I love the backstory behind that whole storyline, but I don't like the characters because it didn't put me in their place as far as the way that Disney makes you empathize with the character. And especially throughout the whole thing of Boba Fett, like that's what they want you to do. They want to, have you fill the shoes of whatever characters they're trying to bring forward. And I just feel like they didn't do it.
Yeah, I feel like the whole storyline with them, from what I've seen so far, is very underwhelming. Like it's yeah.
It's I promise it gets better.
It's like Skinamax. it's like Skinamax porn. Like that's the level of like talent that they have, basically.
I wanna kind of talk about Boba Fett being a snore fest. I think the biggest problem that Robert Rodriguez and Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau had is Boba Fett had like 15 seconds of screen time in his movies, but as a kid that grew up, who was born in the 70s, like Boba Fett was the biggest character in the world. Right. The adventures we put Boba Fett through with that 3 3/4 inch figure are legendary. Right. For someone that had such little screen time. When he shows up in, spoiler alert, in The Mandalorian, he is amazing. And that, excuse me, I'm getting choked up thinking about it. So with all that being said, now he gets his own series. And it's not reaching that level that we've built up in our mind, or that we saw that small glimpse back in The Mandalorian. So it is a daunting task to give us that. So, I mean, I applaud them for trying. I understand. I mean, my friend who's the biggest Boba Fett fan in the world, he was underwhelmed by this, but at the same time, he's like, but I finally get a Boba Fett TV show. So, I mean, I'm going to kind of give them a pass and take the good things from it and just love the good things. But yeah, the mods, I get what they were. I don't even know. Do you guys even know who the mods are in the 1960s? They were a group of like a British subculture that really into punk rock and stuff. And they would mod their bodies with piercings and stuff. But they drove these colorful motorcycles that look just like these terrible speeder bikes that these guys drew. Like they're so like, if you knew what the mods are, you'd be like, that's awesome. If you learn what the mods are and be like, yeah, I'm not going to lie. That was my least favorite part of any Star Wars, that high-speed chase that they were on. The second time, I rewatched right before this. I don't mean to jump ahead, but it looked a lot like
Gunnar, you're jumping ahead big time.
I know, but
let's compact it, people. Okay, let's keep it compact. All right, Jeff B, please. Do you have any thoughts on the Stephen Root element? Nothing past that, please.
I just knew, like I said, I knew that he plays the finicky asshole, and he comes out as that finicky, greedy little water farmer, that's trying to make the most money off the thing you need the most.
He's trying to milk people,
right? And he didn't like the fact that the mods were going to take it from him, and they were coming in here. So now he comes to Boba looking for help because he's the badass of the group, But none of this has been boring to me. I've enjoyed this whole thing. But go ahead. I'm through with my speech on that one.
All right. Thank you. All right, people. So as we move on in this episode, since we've already talked a little bit about more of it, so basically, yes, that's what Stephen Root has come to Boba Fett to talk about. These cyborgs are stealing his water. He goes and confronts them and finds out that, they're doing this because he's basically ripping them off, selling them the water. And, Boba knows from the fact that, being a part of the Tuskens, he knows that feeling. And so he finds out they don't have jobs, and he decides to give them a jobs as being his kind of like his muscle. So we have that whole, confrontation. We get to meet those cyborg characters and so forth and go on and stuff like that. And so as we proceed, they do that. They get to know the cyborgs, all that good stuff. And we end up going back to the where Jabba used to live, and Boba Fett has now gotten into the chamber that basically revitalizes him. I always forget back to Tank. And so we have a huge flashback sequence, and it shows him again, this is just right after he has been kind of accepted into the Tuskens. He goes to talk to, of course, one of the fish people, basically to get the money that, basically the Tuskens are owed basically for them taking their water. And he gets there and he talks to them and they say basically, blah, 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 you're not getting the money. And, Bubba's like, oh, well, okay, I'm going to fix this. So basically then the dream sequence goes to where he finds out that unfortunately the Tuskens have been all slaughtered while he was away and trying to get the rights back for the Tuskens. And that whole scene there, I feel, was an interesting take, because that's one thing about the Book of Boba Fett is they really focused a lot on the Tuskens, which is something we didn't get a lot of in any of the other films or even other TV series that we've seen. So my next question for the panel is, what were your thoughts on all the Tuskens being destroyed? Yes, Jeff?
The freaking Tuskens were the best part of the fucking show so far for me. I'll tell you right now, all of the flashback scenes with the Tuskens for me have been what I really enjoyed the most out of every episode that I saw. I loved the whole Tusken deal. But I'll tell you what though, I actually already have one of those Bacta tanks already, but mine's just for my STDs. You know what I mean? Just so I can cure my herpes and all that stuff, as I'm rolling.
You're gonna suffer herpelades?
Yeah. I got my own Bacta tank just so I can take care of my STDs. So anyways, it was kind of interesting how when the Tusken village got destroyed and everything, and Boba Fett comes back to see it and whatnot, they didn't really have much of a village to work with to begin with, so there wasn't much to destroy. It didn't even look that much different. Some shit was on fire or whatever once in a while.
It was 4 huts and a...
Yeah, it was I'll tell you right now, man.
Fire pit.
The Tuskens, they're not trying to live it up, baby. They're rocking a conservative style. Yeah. But I thought it was really for me, the whole flashback sequences with the Tuskens has been what I've really enjoyed the most out of the series so far, and so. It was you could see that obviously that Boba was emotionally distraught or whatever by the situation, and essentially, I felt look, I'm not as Star Wars knowledgeable as Gunnar or Tony or Kat, or Cyber or Jeff. I'm kind of like a Star Wars amateur. So, look, I understand that you guys are probably looking at this series with a different lens than I am, but I don't know. For me so far, I think it's great. I really do. I don't want to get beyond episode 3, but
don't ever watch 4. Don't ever do it.
Well, it's already happened, but no, I don't think it's that bad. I actually think it's a pretty good series.
Good, thank you. How about you, Maddie? What were your thoughts on that Tusken montage?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot to burn down. When they were saying a lot, but so when he went and burned the bodies, there were 4, there was 4 bodies there, but I think it was very cool that he, honored them in a way instead of just leaving them there.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. That was really great. And he did it in the way that they did it. That's how the way he disposed of their bodies was the Tusken way.
Yeah.
Agreed. How about you, Kat?
Now, I'm a little bit with Jeff on this. As someone who, though, is very much about the Star Wars story and the Star Wars lore, I think kind of finding out, to Gunnar's point, we got 15 seconds of Boba Fett in any movie. So everything else about him was what we created. And I think this is where a lot of the fans are actually having an issue, But that's why these Tusken scenes are so great, is because it's showing us what happened after the Sarlacc pit. It showed that he had to heal. And through that, they helped him heal. They helped him become stronger. And they helped teach him other lessons other than what he learned as a clone of Jango Fett. And that's what you really kind of get to see in this episode is after he's gone and talked to the narcos. I know they're called something else, but let's just face it. They're basically a Colombian drug cartel. And he comes back and finds that these people who were kind enough to take him in, teach him their ways. I think there was some conflict there because while they took him in and taught him their ways, he also was teaching them the ways of the rest of the world. Teaching them how to use speeders, teaching them, hey, this is how we can get more supplies and resources to help better the tribe. And to come back and find that these people who had taken and basically shed who he was in the past and accepted him in to let him be something new were slaughtered for what he was trying to do to better them. I mean, Mandalorians aren't super emotional. We all know that. But the fact that he had to honor that in their way. And he now has to come to terms with the fact that, and whether it's never really talked about, but there's that part of him that's like, hey, did I bring this upon them?
Yeah, great call,
Kat.
Kat.
Bring the modern way to them.
Yeah, great call, Kat. That's really great of you to point that out. I think that like there is that question of like for him probably where like did I do this? You know what I mean? Did my push, you know, to try to help them end up coming back in this way to where they end up getting killed? And I think it's really important that you point out his transformation. You know, like, again, I'm a Star Wars novice, but I can see that obviously he went through like a transformation with the Tuskens. And I think that's really valuable.
Very true, Jeff. Very true. How about you, Gunnar?
Yeah, I'm with Jeff S on this. The Tusken stuff has been by far my favorite part of the series so far to this point. I want more of his backstory. I'd show me more. Even when they show us more, show me more than the more that you keep showing me, because I'm really liking it. If someone who loved Boba Fett, you know, I'm excited to see where his story, how he got to where we catch back up to him in Mandalorian. So give me more. Love it.
Awesome. How about you, Tony?
I'm more of the pessimist, and I feel like I'm a pessimist in this show, but I do like the show. I feel like I need to bring this out because I paused it at the direct point where they actually showed the village, and there's 10, count them, 10 tents, okay? There's 10 tents. Now, if you figure the syndicate that's you know, the scooter guys are coming over to kill people in 10 tents who usually are a group killing machine, which have phenomenal, and I must say phenomenal fighting skills. How is that not happening, and why are we not seeing that on screen?
Good call.
Anybody else with me on that?
Later episodes, you'll figure out why.
Well, I know later, but I'm saying, why didn't we see that now? Why would they omit that from this? It would have been a beautiful episode if they had maybe even shot a small glimpse, little clippets, you know, little ways, because none of these guys had guns on their bikes. None of the guns worked on the speeder bikes. They all had shooting guns, like they all had guns in their hands, and they're all pew, 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 pew. But watching that particular episode, you have to put two and two together. He goes and he visits the mayor, or not the mayor, the you know, whatever you call them, the
drug lord. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
The drug lords.
Yeah, the drug lords, dude. The drug lord dudes. The fish guy. You know, fish guy. You have to put two and two together that they're working side by side, and him going there was definitely going to stir the pot and get them going. But that particular montage, and they should have done a montage, especially of, you know, maybe a bloody battle, because they have a lot of death and killing in this whole entire series, by the way. A lot of killing. But in that particular episode, I feel like it would have benefited if they showed a small montage of at least the biker group killing the Sand People.
Well, the problem with that, I think, is that
from
Sand...
Boba's reaction, though.
Yeah, I also think that the Sand People, their fighting style is more melee with those gaffy sticks, and these biker gang, whoever went out and killed them, were probably using blasters to kill them. And as I joked last week, we know that Obi-Wan figures out that it's Stormtrooper because their blast marks are too accurate for Sand People. And we know that there's nothing more accurate than a Stormtrooper shooting at something. So Sand People must be way worse than the Stormtroopers. So, I mean, that there was probably no chance for them if they're showing up with melee weapons.
But if you go back into, what was it, with where the pod race is, and you actually see how they were fighting, they were shooting with long-range weapons.
True, but he nicked the ship and acted like he won the Super Bowl. He was so excited he actually hit something. He was celebrating like he won the lottery. So,
Maddie, did you have something to offer?
No, I was just gonna say I don't know how you can get much worse than Stormtroopers.
That's true. That is true.
Audie, what's good, man?
Hey, I was good. I just want to say that, yes, the Stormtroopers always joked about their ability to shoot, but those Jedis that were murdered, I think they might say something different because they got shot up a lot.
Quickly.
But they were clone troopers, not stormtroopers.
But they did
clones of
explain
Jango
why.
Fett, who is
They did explain why the stormtroopers were always so like not good at shooting, because Palpatine wanted I think Luke to be captured, so he wanted no harm to be to fall upon him. So that's why they were like chasing him and not really shooting to kill. That's the quote unquote lore. I'm not sure if they're still using that or utilizing it.
I prefer the my cannon, where to look cool they give them these helmets and they just can't see anything because those helmets. So they have no periphery vision. So that's why they keep missing. They can't see a damn thing in there.
Because it's like, how can Ewoks kill these trained killers? But apparently those Ewoks are deadly and cute.
Jeff B, you still there, sir?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything to add. Everything's been said.
All right.
Yeah,
Welcome,
there's nothing to
Audie.
say.
Thank you for popping on by. And thank you for your take there. Just to kind of get you up to date where we are, we were talking about the flashback scene that Boba's having as he's in the back to tank. And how we were talking about the Tusken scene, and where Boba goes back and he finds that all the Tuskens have been murdered. And so basically he goes from there, and basically all of a sudden it goes back to him being in the back to chamber, and all of a sudden something opens up on him and attacks him, which happens to be Kristan, the Wookiee that we were introduced to in episode 2, by the way. And Kristan, this guy, he is impressive. I mean, everyone has loved of course, Chewbacca, since the inception of Star Wars back from 77 and so forth. But we get this all new Wookiee that I've never heard of before this. He might be in lore, I'm not sure, and not like that. But so we get to the fight sequence here where Boba is fighting against Kristan. At first, it's just Boba fighting him and stuff like that, and then that's when the cyborgs come in and try to help him, and that's also when Fek Shen comes in too and helps out too. And we have this giant elaborate scene between them and this Wookiee, and basically they end up being able to throw him down into the Rancor pen which nobody knows is empty. We do know that it's empty because of episode 2, but the Wookiee doesn't know that. But they finally trap him down there, and then basically goes to Fennec Shen and Boba talking about what they should do now after this attack by Krishan. And all of a sudden that's when the twins pop up with a gesture and to say, yes, we did send this character. And that's when we get this huge surprise, which I had no idea they were going to bring back a Rancor into this, series. I didn't know we were going to get to see that again, which I think is fantastic because, ever since I saw him, the first one we saw, of course, in Return of the Jedi, that was just awesome. I wish we had seen more of it, gotten to see more about the character, and we actually get to learn more about that character. So my question to the panel is, what was your thoughts when the Hutts popped up and them giving Boba Fett the Rancor? What was your thoughts on the whole entire scene there? And kind of just like, did you like it? Did you hate it? And, keep it within a decent time frame. So starting with you, Jeff.
Oh, well, really quick, I just want to, just for the ladies, we're actually going to be doing some advertisements for women's sports, so I just wanted to go ahead and drop one for you guys. There you go. Supporting women's sports.
And that's why Jeff needs a back to tank.
That's it, right?
It's not gonna work.
Which Cyber, which Jeff did you want? Did you want Jeff B or Jeff S?
I said Jeff S.
Okay, all right then. Well, hey, it was an interesting fight. The Wookiee, I forget his name.
Chrysanthemum
was pretty badass. I mean, he was like no joke. I would not want to step to him personally. But as far as the Rancor goes and everything, I didn't care that Danny Trejo was involved in the scene or whatever. It made no difference to me. I like Danny Trejo. He's always good. And it was actually kind of cool, like seeing Boba like actually interested in the Rancor, like invested into it. Like wanting to know about it and talking about wanting to ride it and everything and whatnot. And then actually spending some time with it and everything once they took off the blindfold and whatnot. I thought it was actually kind of sweet.
Okay. How about you, Maddie?
Well, I think the Hutts giving it to him is a little suspicious. Like, I feel like there's an ulterior motive to that. But I think it is cool that, like, he does, like, we get a more backstory to them. Like, I don't remember what they're called. But, like, we, like, find out more about, what they are. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. But, like, they have more emotional connections with them. Yeah. Like,
Okay.
they're not just mindless creatures. They form...
They're like pets.
Connections. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Kat?
I was like, oh, he gets a Wookiee and a machete. No, I mean, I really think, though, Rancors are part of Hutt culture. If you've ever done much study or reading on Hutt, study like Star Wars is a real place. Rancors are very deep in Hutt lore, though. So it makes sense that they would offer that as a peace offering to Boba Fett. And like the fact that you get Danny Trejo, that's just like a bonus action. I did think it was kind of messed up, and I mean, it works out for Boba Fett, but the fact that they were just like, oh, you beat our Wookiee, we don't want him anymore. Like, y'all are overgrown slugs. You don't get to judge someone's fighting style. But, so I mean, really, you just gave Boba Fett 2 weapons to use against you if you ever needed to. Because that Wookiee's no longer going to be loyal to the Hutts that turn their back on him. So yeah, those are my 2 cents on it.
All right, thank you. Let's move down to Audie, since you haven't gotten really to say much. What are your thoughts on that whole sequence there? The twins coming in, and then of course the Rancor popping up as well.
What I find interesting is the fact that the Hutts are actually gangsters. Like, you look at them, these fat worm slugs, but they actually are gangsters with the shits. And the fact that they can pull muscle like that, it's so interesting. Because me, like, I wasn't here for the last show, but that Wookiee, I have to give it to the actor. His whole expression when he just walks up and he just looks at him, and you could just tell in his eyes that he's not playing. It's like just that look was like, oh, he's serious. Like either we fight right now or I don't know what we're gonna do, but we're gonna need a lot more men to take him down. His whole look, his aesthetic, everything about it is cool. The Hutts is cool. The fact that the Rancors come back and they've developed this whole thing that they're more complex characters than these massive aliens that like to eat, and they're terrifying. But they look so cute though. I think of like a dog when I see, that bonding. So I find it interesting, the whole character development and what they introduce and everything. And that Black Wookiee is like one of my favorite characters. Do you see his knuckle dusters? Man,
Chrysanthemum's she's got some shit going on.
Punch people. I just want him to see him rock everybody. He's interesting. Yeah.
I agreed. Yeah, Chrysanthemum is awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was nice to see another Wookiee become a part of the Star Wars lore too, instead of always being Chewie. So
just
that was nice. Yeah. How about you, Jeff B?
He's canon now, man. Chrysanthemum is now canon in the universe. So
nice.
That's what I love, is the fact that they introduced him and that now officially makes him part of the show. So it means we're going to see more of him. And they brought up the Rancor, and that makes it canon too. So now that means it's going to be part of the show. So it just it fired me up like that, because I knew that these are now going to become canon. So, outside of just the comic book world. So I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, the brother, sister of the Hutts, I just thought that was awesome, man. The fact that you got two of them sitting on a platform and about 14 people holding them up. It just amazes me.
Spooning each other, too.
Yeah, it just amazes me. But no, that's all I had to add. I just thought that was huge, man. That was a big introduction for canon coming out of the comic book side.
100%. Yeah, I agree, Jeff. I definitely agree there. That's awesome. Glad to know that they're going to be canon now.
Yeah.
Your thoughts? Yeah. Your thoughts, Tony?
Disney is great at two things. Getting a lot of watchers to watch a show. And number two, merchandising. They know how to merchandise. They know how to pull somebody in to want a certain product. They introduce characters at a rapid pace, and they know how to sell. They're like the crack dealers of the nerdy world as of right now. Jabba the Hutt, or not Jabba the Hutt, the cousins, of course, is a great sellable character. Chrysanthemum is an awesome sellable character, one that they could even throw into its own spinoff. Danny Trejo's character with the Rancor is an awesome character to bring in there, and is sellable on every level of that, just because you have Machete, bringing in a Rancor, man. You can sell a product completely off that. Now, if you had a Joe Schmo, if you had Tom Smith bringing in a Rancor, no one would have cared. They would have been like, oh, Rancor, contributed by the Sluggy Hutts. Okay, whatever. They don't even have a name, but the combination, the brother sister, is a character that is sellable. And I just feel like it's just a lot going on with this episode, where they're bringing in a lot of characters. They're trying to introduce people, but not trying to give too much away, and that's okay. It's okay. Chrysanthemum, just to give you a little bit of background about him, he was a bounty hunter for Jabba. He did a number of jobs for him, including killing Jedi as well. So he has fought Jedi. He has fought some of the most atrocious people in the land, and he is a big name for himself in on several planets. Probably top 10, if not top 5, best bounty hunters in Star Wars lore. I don't think that they've used their full potential on him, but I think maybe in a spinoff they could do something a little bit better with him as well. That's all I have to add. Everything else was already said.
All right, thank you for that. Very good. And how about you, Gunnar?
So this scene was kind of weird because literally 10 minutes before they showed up, they sent Chrysanthemum in to kill Boba Fett, and he failed. And now they're like, we're just here. He's your prize. Here's a Rancor. We're leaving. See you later. Just kidding. I mean, that was just
everyone.
Weird. But I did love. I know someone mentioned up. I don't know if we're this far, but the Danny Trejo thing with Boba Fett. I know Jeff.
We're right there. We're right there.
Briefly, but as someone who loves the old EU, hearing them talk about the Witches of Dathomir from the Courtship of Princess Leia book, you know, them riding the Rancor, and then we see in the the Force Unleashed video game, we see characters riding Rancors. So soon as you heard this, you're like, please show me Boba Fett on a Rancor. That's all I want to see. So hopefully in this finale coming up, because that would be awesome.
Thank you. Yes, most definitely. That would be very cool, because who doesn't want to see a bounty hunter on top of a Rancor? Who wouldn't want to see, a giant monster being ridden or something? That's fun. Always fun kind of stuff. I mean, it's like kind of like, Godzilla or King Kong. You want to see them, little people taking on them and stuff like that. So it's, it's kind of that same feeling, I feel. But anyway,
Dante.
Yep.
I was gonna say it reminds me of Dante's Inferno. I don't know if you ever played the game, but that's what Dante does. He I can't remember the name of the main character. I completely slipped my mind. But when he gets into hell, he rides a giant demon, and it reminds me of Boba Fett and the Rancor, and you get to cause so much havoc in hell.
You're right on target with it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. I was like, oh, that would be so cool. But
100%. All right, so we started talking, so then that scene kind of develops into Danny Trejo and Boba Fett talking about trading the Rancor, learning everything, how to use it. That we come to discover that there's a lot more to Rancors than just being these big evil monsters. They actually have feelings and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know why I'm echoing there. Anyways, so basically we get that little gist, and then all of a sudden Boba's like, okay, Danny Trejo's like, here, stand here, and we'll take off the blinders so that the first impression he gets is, of course, you, so that he attaches to you. And so we get that scene, and he's rubbing him like he's, and stuff like that, and was really fantastic. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, okay, we need to go take care of this now to, stop, what's going on with the mayor and stuff like that. So then we proceed over to where the mayor is. The talk of Fennec Shen goes with them, and they get there, and they're talking to that little lackey guy who is actually a character actor that has been in a ton of films over the years. I forget his name, but he has been in several other films. He always plays usually that kind of squirrely kind of guy that's like, kind of bad, but at the same time, he's kind of good. And that character is just so funny. Even, before this, we got to see him, and later on in the series, you get to see him again. I don't want to go too far in that.
David Pasquini, I think is his name. Something like that.
Yes. Yeah. And so they kind of have a conversation, and he's like, okay, I'll go talk to the mayor and see if he can fit you in. And that's when he goes in and locks the door. And then basically they have this giant chase sequence, which pretty much takes the care of the rest of the episode, basically. We have this the cyborgs come to help. We get to see the, unfortunately, I don't remember the names of the pig creatures. What are their names?
The Morians.
Morians. Thank you. They come into the picture, and they fight along with Boba Fett and stuff like that, and they have this giant chase sequence with that gentleman. And we get some really great kind of CGI action sequence going on there, and kind of leads to the very end of the episode. After they catch him and say, oh, he basically tells them that the mayor is working with the Pike, and that's basically how the episode kind of ends. So my final question of this episode for the panel is, what did you think of that final scene. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was there anything specifically you did like about it, or specifically you hated about it? Did you like how it looked? Did you think it was shoddy? Pretty much just a little basic overhaul of what you thought of that final sequence. Let's start with you, Jeff B.
Oh, I like the final sequence. I mean, he basically told us what we pretty much already knew, but I like the fact that right there going up to the end of that, we see the carriers bringing the pikes in, and all of them coming off the Star Cruisers, because we pretty much start getting an idea of what's fixing to happen, so I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know. I've got to say though, I'm not a big fan of these colors of the cycles for the game, for the mods. I'm not a big fan of that. Every time I see it, I keep thinking of a circus, but no, I liked it. I enjoyed the final scene. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I was anticipating where we were going, but I had a pretty good idea when I seen the pikes coming off the cruisers that, we were headed in a war direction. So, but it was pretty cool. I mean, I enjoyed it for a third episode. I enjoyed it.
Nice. Thank you. How about you, Tony?
I'm right there with you. I think the foretelling of the pikes and the war and everything in the battle coming forward, it's a lot of foreshadowing, which is good. That's all I really have to add.
All right, thank you. How about you, Gunnar?
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't a big fan of this chase scene. It just looked slow and not great. It reminded me of Austin Powers, where the guy starts screaming and you see that bulldozer like 40 feet away from him, slowly rolling towards him. I don't know, but watching it right before we started recording, it was a lot better than the first time I saw it. Yeah, I didn't love this scene. That's probably my least favorite scene in the series so far.
All right, thank you. How about you, Kat?
So I felt like they were trying to use the chase scene in a way to help develop the mod characters, which is probably why they slowed it down from what we're used to seeing in traditional Star Wars chases. Because I think the thing that they may have realized partway through their writing of this, or their editing, one or the other, is that most people weren't going to realize that the mods, the representation for them, in a way, is kind of that generational gap. They look at Boba Fett and they might as well just be saying, okay, boomer. Because he's not only is he out of touch with what's going on in the city, because he's been away for so long, but because of his time with the Tuskens, which he needed that for character development, for transition, for growth, it also took him out of the loop of what's going on in your major cities. So I think that chase scene was there to kind of show, like, hey, this is, because there was a lot of disjointed, like, hey, we're going to do it this way. No, you guys do it that way. Or they'd direct them one way and they'd be like, no, we've got this. And next thing you know, someone's going flying off their speeder. So I do feel like they were trying to use it as further character development for them. But, I mean, you can't develop characters in a high-speed chase, really. Unless it's Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, you cannot develop characters in a chase scene.
Yeah. There was nothing impressive about it. There was nothing like, of course, the CGI. They CGI'd the crap out of it. It was a lot of fluff material. It was a lot of fluff. It was probably about 4.5 minutes of fluff.
Yeah, but at the same time, you also have that generation, and this is where people are complaining about the series in general. There are those of us that love the lore, right? And we're like, hey, bring us the Tuskens, bring us that lore. But then there is the other generation that has been brought up with Star Wars that is nothing but pew pew, whoom, 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 speeder chase.
Yeah.
And I really think that's what they were trying to go for with that speeder chase. Was they were like, well, hey, we're getting some mixed reviews. Hey, we want the new kids to hop on this with everybody and like it.
Yeah.
Let's throw a really good speeder chase in. Disney'd
it.
Well, I mean, there's not a princess yet.
Give it time.
Ming Na Wen was Mulan though, so technically.
Technically.
Yeah, but she was also the cavalry in S.H.I.E.L.D., so I mean that kind of redeems her there.
That's true.
She has the Disney trifecta.
She does.
Very true. Very true. How about you, Maddie?
Yeah, I think the chase, the high speed chase was very underwhelming, and again with like the colors of the speeders, they're very. I feel like they're too bright for the series in general. Like it's too bright for Star Wars. I don't know. That's just me. But
too clean for the desert.
Yeah. Well, they were like
clean.
way too clean. But I mean, I kind of saw that there was gonna be a war coming up. Like when is there not a war in Star Wars? Like, but yeah, that's what I think about it.
All right, thank you. Jeff S., do you have anything to add, sir?
I thought that entire scene was like the death knell of the episode. Like, honestly, like as much as I love the Tusken stuff and everything and whatnot, and like I like the fight and everything, the fight they had earlier, when it went to the whole chase scene or whatever, it just didn't play with me. It just didn't work. Visually, it didn't work at all. I didn't like the way the speeders looked, or whatever you call those, like, the
Vespas.
The bikes,
That's what we're going to call them.
Wherever you want to call them. I didn't like the way they looked. I didn't like the way that the chase scene looked. Like, the whole thing just didn't work for me at all. I mean, overall. And I got nothing from it.
All right. Thank you. So that concludes that portion of our live streams, people out there in the wonderful streaming land. That was episode 3 of the Book of Boba Fett, The Streets of Mos Espa. We thought that we would transition over into our final part of our amazing live stream tonight, and that is with talking about a couple little MCU or we'll say superhero kind of MCU talk of the recent developments that are going on with the Sonyverse, actually. And we came across actually an article recently talking about the casting of Dakota Johnson as being Madam Web in the Sonyverse. And so we thought we throw that around the panel a little bit and just kind of get your guys' thoughts on that. And do you think that this is a good choice by Sony? Do you think this is a bad choice by Sony? And if you had a chance to read the article, what was your thoughts from that article? I pretty much a whole bunch of the different, like Screen Rant and a whole bunch of the different places have put out articles about it recently, I noticed. And I personally think I'm not a big fan of Dakota Johnson. I don't think she's anything really that spectacular. So I was really shocked by this kind of announcement, them casting her as Madam Web, which I think is a character that needs a really strong female presence, that can really command the screen. And I don't feel Dakota Johnson has that type of presence, even though, she was kind of the main lead, of course, in the, 50 Shades of Grey films. She still really wasn't the star of that series. It really was Mr. Grey. So, I mean,
sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Very true. Could be shit. Most definitely. Anyway, so throwing it out the panel. What are your thoughts on this, and have you heard about this? Let's start with you, Jeff S.
Well, I earlier today I planned on doing a little bit of Madam Web research, and I totally forgot about it. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I think this whole conversation with Sony is always an interesting conversation because it makes you wonder, like, what are they trying to do overall? Like, what is their game plan? I know that maybe somebody else on the panel can tell me, give me like a more of an accurate account, but doesn't Sony basically have quite a few releases coming out in like the next 2 years or whatever that are
yeah,
coming off of the Spider-Man universe?
Yeah.
So I mean they've got the they're going to do Kraven the Hunter.
Morbius is coming out. It actually got delayed all the way out to April 1st again.
Yeah.
For the 10th time since the movie came out.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that myself, honestly,
Yeah.
Tony. I think they did that because of like spacing, like the scheduling. I think they wanted to put it out. I don't think it has anything to do with box office or anything like that, because with COVID, it'd be no difference either way. But don't they have? Aren't they doing a Kraven the Hunter film too?
Kraven the Hunter is their second movie, which is they actually just cast, or rumors of just casting,
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Russell Crowe?
Russell Crowe.
Oh, really? I heard Aaron Taylor Johnson,
Yeah.
that played Quicksilver, was going to be Kraven.
Yeah, well, that's the rumor. The rumor was going around that Johnson was supposed to be the lead star. They just cast Russell Crowe today or yesterday.
No shit.
For a, and they didn't give him the role. They just said a role in Kraven the Hunter.
Well, then what the hell else would it be but Kraven the Hunter at that point? It's Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right, so, I mean, I just don't know. I'm trying to imagine where Madam Web would fit into this whole Sonyverse. Like, I don't know that much about the character, I won't lie.
If you could think of Madam Web as being the Watcher of the MCU.
Yeah, or a Doctor Strange. Sony's version of Doctor Strange.
Yeah. But she's more behind the scenes. She kind of sees what's going on. She doesn't want to interfere. But then there's of course, with the multiverse going on right now and everything splitting apart, it makes sense for them to bring Madam Web into the Spider-Verse in order to kind of get a rope on things. And they really need a more, man, I hate to say seasoned character, but I agree. I agree with Shark. I think they need somebody a bit older to fill this role. Not to say that age has anything to do with the particular character, because they can base the age off anything. I mean,
Tony,
she's more of an immortal being.
We already know that Dakota Johnson is down for whatever with like the great, you know, with like.
Well, it's just the name Madam makes you think of an older person.
Correct, and the way that they portrayed her, even in the animated series, through all the other Spider-Men, they've had her in the animated series before. I don't know.
Maybe they're bringing Dakota in to inject some nudity and shit. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's possible. It's a possibility. I don't think they're going to do that, but
she was in the Venom saga, and then she was in like an ultimate villain spin-off Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
That was the two things that she's been in, but now I haven't seen either one of those in a very long time.
Yeah.
So I don't think Dakota Johnson is going to play the Madam Web that we're all thinking of. In the comics, Madam Web eventually ended up passing on her torch to her granddaughter. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think
it's going to be like an origin thing, because I don't know how they're just going to bring her out of the clear blue.
Yeah, kind of like how Scott Lang was the second Ant-Man.
I thought Jeff was going to say it was going to be the orgy thing, and I was going to be like, oh, hell yeah.
Wrong movie, Jeff. Wrong Dakota Johnson. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I think we will. And I'm trying to remember what her granddaughter's name is. Charlotte Witter or something. I can't remember what her granddaughter's name, but she kind of took on the mantle as Madam Web. So I think we'll have a distinguished actress kind of passing on the torch to Dakota Johnson to become the new Madam Web. Because it just doesn't make much sense. You're right. That casting doesn't make much sense with the Madam Web that we all think of from the Star Wars animated series that was voiced by Stan Lee's wife. I mean, that's Dakota Johnson's not going to play that character, I don't think.
Yeah, I also think at this point, though,
wanted to do a Thelma and Louise show with Sally Field's Aunt May. So who knows what Sony's up to?
I mean, I also think they're also at a point too where really Spider-Man is all that's making them money at this point. And honestly, as far as actors and actresses go, that may have been what they could afford. Like, plain and simple. Like, I know
Sony's got money. Sony's got some money though,
but they're also chumming the water. they're barely holding on. Spider-Man's the only thing making them money. They can't even make money off PS5s right now because all the scalpers bought them, so no one else can.
I think Marvel kind of floated that Spider-Man movie anyway. If Marvel fans wasn't so hip on Spider-Man, it probably wouldn't have done as well as it did.
Exactly. I mean, Disney's making pushes to purchase them. There have been a couple other offers in the last couple of years of other companies trying to buy Sony.
Even Marvel
Apple is
itself.
trying to buy Sony.
Apple's talked about it.
It's the same thing with Venom.
Did
Venom wouldn't have done as well for him had it
did
not been for
Spider-Man
Marvel
3
fans.
Did Spider-Man 3 actually literally is it coming? Is it going to actually going to take out? Did it already?
It passed Avatar, I think.
Yeah, did it?
It just bypassed Avatar.
Yeah.
As the money making.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What else
And
is out there though?
That's without a Chinese. That's without a Chinese release either over in China.
Yeah.
That's without a China release, which I think if it got released in China, it would have already surpassed Avatar weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it probably would have overtaken a lot of the top billings too if they got a release over in China.
Well, that is crazy. I can't even believe that it ended up doing that well.
See, and there's some craziness that comes along with it. I mean, even in the Morbius series, that they're trying to force feed down people's throats, and I say that with
I agree with that too. I agree with
it's
that.
a real heavy heart, man, because that is a great character if done correctly, could add a lot of substance to where they're going for the future. But the way that they're force feeding it and the way that they chopped it up, I feel like they bypassed it back, several times because they want to. They've already said that they're doing reshoots, like throughout the movie. So there's things that they're going to add, and of course it's going to be Spider-Man related because that whole movie had nothing to do with Spider-Man. And they needed to add something relatable in order to bring people to that movie. And I think the final cut on it was an hour and a half from start to end, or an hour and 20 minutes, I believe it was, somewhere in around there for the cut version of Morbius. And unfortunately, that's not enough time. I feel like they cut a lot of it on the cutting room floor, and they need to add the reshoots in order to get people to watch the movie.
Well, it's so confusing right now because what universe is Morbius in? Because he mentions Venom, and we see Michael Keaton, who's from the MCU, and then there's a picture of Tobey Maguire era Spider-Man with Murderer on it. It seems like it's in the MCU. Then again, why is there that line where he says I'm Venom? I have zero interest in this, except I want to know what they're trying to tell me. What universe is this in?
Yeah. It's standalone. It's very, very weird the way that they portrayed it.
Have they given a release date for it
Thank you
yet?
to the people of Sony, because the people of Sony have no clue what they're doing.
For
And
what?
It's sad.
Jeff
Sad to see.
For Morbius, have they given a
April
release
1st.
date for that movie?
April 1st.
April 1st. Okay.
It was originally supposed to come out January 30th, I believe,
Of last year.
Yeah, well, 2 years
Yeah,
ago. Actually.
yeah.
It was
Or
supposed
2
to-
years
it was
ago.
Right,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
supposed to come out 2020, but then got pushed to 2021. They got pushed to 2022, January 2020, and then it got pushed again to April of 2022.
Yeah.
So if Sony wants to keep making money off of their Spider-Verse, they need to get this movie out because it is footage that's 2 years old. And two, I mean, I heard that there were several reshoots for it. So, I mean, who knows what exactly this film is going to be like? Could this be a New Mutant problem again? Where it's a big jumble mess because they revamped it too many times and had to keep postponing it. So hopefully it's not like that.
Well, Maddie, let me ask you really quick. I mean, what are your thoughts on the Morbius film? Were you excited to at the idea of it?
I am. I know when I went and saw No Way Home, when I saw the trailers when I went, I know what I'm trying to say, but I was excited. I was with my brothers and they were excited, and then we were all pretty excited, but we didn't even know that it was coming out until we went and saw the new Spider-Man.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah. But I mean, I'm excited.
Awesome. All right. So thank you for all those contributions to that. It was a great little discussion. And to close out the show, we're going to talk about a couple Rotten Tomato reviews about Boba Fett Episode 3. And I'm going to swing it over to my co-host, Mr. Jeff S.
Yeah, guys, this is a free-for-all, okay? I'm just going to go ahead and just read some of these reviews, and you guys can tell me what you think, whether or not they line up with, like, your sentiments with, like, the episode.
I agree.
So, all right, right off the bat.
It's Rotten Tomatoes. How can it be wrong?
Right.
Never. Rotten Tomatoes is never wrong.
Never. All right, so from Ben Lindbergh from The Ringer. While the streets of Mos Espa helps explain the state of play on Tatooine, what it gains in great guest stars, it lacks in pacing and satisfying set pieces. And let me look at the score or the rating he gave for the episode. Oh, he didn't give one. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
I was going to say 5 stars. 5 out of 10.
That's okay. But check this one out and see what y'all think from the panel. From Jack Shepard at Total Film, who scored the episode at a 3 out of 5. The third episode ends up going back and forth too much, offering an unfilling entry in the Star Wars series. Does that connect, Kat? Does that connect with you at all?
No, that sounds like something an old man would say. Like, keep up, old man. Like, Grandpa, I need you to stay awake through the whole episode so you can stay on top of this show. Come on, stay awake.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I do agree with the 3.5. Just his complaint about it going back and forth. Sorry, bro, can't relate.
Jeff B, what do you think? Does the 3 out of 5 sound reasonable to you?
3 out of 5 stars. Is that what you're saying, Jeff?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, 3 out of 5 stars sounds good to me. It's the third episode, man. I mean, it's the third episode. We're still trying to figure out what he's doing. These people are being so critical. I mean, it's episode 3.
Well, some of the most of the reviews are are negative. I won't lie to you. I'm going
3 out of 5 is good. That's a I call it
average.
Middle. Yeah. I mean, but it's episode 3, so I mean, I wouldn't expect it to have 5 stars.
I felt like it was Telemundo.
Gunnar, what do you think about the 3 out of 5 stars?
I mean, I would give it higher than 3 out of 5 stars. This episode, though, I think was one of the weaker ones. Though I love the Tusken stuff, I thought the rest of the stuff could have been better, and I think they did better in other episodes. But
it gave us 2 huge cannons. I forgot that.
They did. I mean, Black Chrysanthemum was great seeing him. And then all that Rancor stuff. So yeah, I'd give it a higher. But if we're looking at it as a whole, out of the series, yeah, this is my least favorite episodes.
Maddie, what do you think? 3 out of 5 stars? Is that fair?
Tracks.
All right, great. Tony, what do you think?
I would have went 2.5.
Okay.
I actually agree with that whole statement that he made. I'm gonna boomer it up.
Hey,
Tony, why you gotta let me down like that?
Look, it flip flop more than Telemundo.
You're not an old man, are you, Tony?
I'm 42. So
Sir, I'm 43 and I can keep up. Get with it.
Yeah. I mean, I have some age. But
Cyber,
I'm from that era that loved Star Wars growing up. I love me some Star Wars. I'm not gonna get it wrong, but I felt like it flip flopped a lot, trying to get a lot of filler. And even at a 3, okay, maybe a 3, I would have gave it a solid 2.5. But a 3 is a kind gesture, adding some great characters to the mix.
Okay. Cyber?
Not my favorite episode.
I would give it a 5 out of 5. The Rancor thing and the Tusken thing made it 5 out of 5 for me. I don't care about the rest of the episode. Those 2 things made it a 5 for me.
I can handle that.
Okay. On a positive note, Collier Jennings, but why though a geek community, says brings past and present colliding together with the title character gaining new friends and foes. Original score 8 out of 10. So there's a positive review. And basically beyond that, we get Hannah Flint, IGN Movies, 6 out of 10. Without Tamira Morrison, the Book of Boba Fett might have completely faltered by this point. So, all right, going back to you, Maddie, do you think that the 6 out of 10 is fair?
I mean, it depends on what like parts of that episode you're talking about. Like if you're looking at the whole episode as a whole, I would have given it like a 5 out of 10. But I mean,
that's harsh.
I know.
Maddie, I'm right there with you. Don't just keep on speaking, girl. Go for
Yeah,
it.
I mean, like with certain parts with the characters, like it's really good. But then with the speeders and like the chase and stuff like that, it's meh. Meh.
Okay. Kat?
I can agree with the 6 out of 10 rating. Like you said, it wasn't the greatest episode, right? We all can accept that it wasn't the greatest. We did get those great new characters brought in, though. So that gives a little bit of that bump for me. Yeah, did the story seem a little bit like a bunch of colors of Play-Doh shoved all together to be like, oh, crap, we only have 45 minutes, let's wedge it all together? It did. So that's why I think the 6 out of 10 is fair, because it wasn't anything earth-shattering as far as the overall episode.
And
it would have been much lower had we not had the Rancor, had we not had Chrysanthemum, had we not had the Tusken part. So it had good parts. So it wasn't like a total trash episode. But I mean, I can get behind the 6 out of 10.
So would you also get behind the without Tamara Morrison, the Book of Boba Fett might have completely faltered by this point?
That I'm not sure. I think it's a matter of, like I said, there are those of us that are there for the lore, and we want that lore. And then there are the people that just want the speeder chases and the pew-pew. And I think that if all you're looking at is the speeder chases and the fight scenes, you're really missing out what the Book of Boba Fett is supposed to be about.
Okay, very fair. Jeff B.
Yeah, 6 out of 10 is good for me. I mean, I have to keep remembering that this is setting us up for the long haul. I got a feeling that this is going to be just part of a story within the Star Wars, I guess, universe on Disney Plus. But I really, like I said earlier, I enjoyed the fact that they introduced new characters in this, and they're staying around. They're not dead. They're still here, which means they're still going to be around. So that really keeps me wanting more. But yeah, 6 out of 10 sounds good. I mean, I have to also remember that there was only like 6 minutes, maybe 5-6 minutes total that Boba Fett had in the whole Star Wars deal. So there's a lot of stuff they're having to feed us to get a lot of the origin down, so, but yeah, 6 out of 10 is fair.
Cyberneticshark.
I would give it an 8 out of 10. Going back to my 5 out of 5, I give it an 8 out of 10. Rancor, Tuskens, and then of course Chrysanthemum. That being the 3 reasons why I would give that. I know a lot of people didn't care for the chaser scene. I know a lot of people probably like it because they were looking for that. But overall, I thought that they did a decent job with that small amount of time. And also, I understand why they did it the way they did. Because even though it's a filler episode, they still had to jam-pack so much into it. With giving us those 3 new characters, giving us all that information, they still did a pretty good job. And definitely there are parts that, could have been better. But overall, I think 8 out of 10 would be better than a 6 out of 10.
Yo, Chrysanthemum beat Boba's ass. Like, I was surprised that Boba was even still walking around after, like, some of the shit that he had done to him. At one point, he got, like, backhanded and shit and, like, flew, like, 15 feet in the air and hit his freaking Bacta tank or some shit. And he just bounced right back up. I was like, come on now.
You try fighting in your undies, though, Jay.
That's true.
Definition of a
Try to fight in the diaper and see what happens.
Hey, listen, when I'm down to my undies, bruh, I'm a lover, not a fighter, bruh. I ain't trying to get down. I ain't trying to get down, you know. But anyways, so come on,
Hey, Tracksuit Mafia.
So Gunnar, what do you think, man? What do you think about the 6 out of 10?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'd go a little higher. I'd probably go a 7 out of 10. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with his Tim Morrison comment. I think the guy that we should thank as part of this is Dave Filoni, who is executive producer, who was George Lucas's final mentor. Like, he worked under George for the Clone Wars till the point where George sold it and Dave took over. And I mean, Dave, I believe, is responsible for just the little things that are so great. Just the fact that we get a Bomar Monk and we get 88 and we get all these little things, you know, going back to everything. I mean, if you look at since Disney took over, take Rogue One out of the picture, everything Dave Filoni has been part of has been amazing. Everything he's not been part of has just been okay, except Rogue One, which is awesome. We'll see when Obi-Wan comes out, because Filoni has nothing to do with that. So that'll really be the test if Star Wars can go on. And I think honestly, the weakest part of this, like I said, that scene with the race, you know, George Lucas's mantra throughout making the Star Wars movies, he always told them, whenever anyone asked for notes, he would say faster, more intense. That scene to me was slower and less intense. They needed George on that scene to make it work. So, you know, I am all those people that are George haters out there. You know, the sequel trilogy is what you get when you take George out of the equation. You know, Dave Filoni is that extension of George. So Tim is great. I love Tamora Morrison. I love his take on the character. It's different than we all had on our mind. But, you know, without Dave Filoni, I think the show falls down flat. But
well, let's hope that when Obi-Wan comes out, me and Cyber can cover that when we get to that point. But Tony, go ahead and give us your final take, and then we'll roll into our plugs and whatnot, and we'll get out of here.
Tamora Morrison, man, fantastic casting for that character. He really pulls it off. Does anyone else pull off their character as good? Yes. You know, Ming-Na Wen, fantastic actress. And she's what, 60 years old?
Yeah, can you believe that?
Holy Christ on a cracker, man. 60 years old. And
she looks like she has
her own stunts.
She looks like she hasn't aged since Street Fighter.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And she played Chun-Li, right?
Yep.
Chun-Li in Street Fighter. 60 years old. She does her own stunts. She's been in a ton of stuff. And not even to say that, like, even with the Disney owning Marvel and, you know, Star Wars and all of the other entities and stuff like that, a lot of people get pushed around in the mix, and I get it. Like, you always see The Rock always in a Disney production now because they know that they can make money. Ming-Na Wen, you know, she's been in several, and I mean several, Disney productions because, of course, she's a great actress and they can make money. Tamora Morrison does well in this show. I see him getting more roles going throughout. It's just going to be cool for him. No, it should be all right. Giving a little bit of foreshadowing to the next several episodes. I kind of agree with you, Gunnar. But I feel like 1, 2, 3 should have been better Boba Fett instead of where it's going into 4, 5, 6, 7. Just to foreshadow a little bit. But I'm not gonna go too far into it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Cyber, you want to close us out of here?
All right. So that is it for the show tonight, guys. Thank you for stopping by. Thanks to the panel for being on here. We will allow the different panel members to shout out anything they would like to shout out, podcasts or whatever they like. Of course, you can find me and Jeff on Rizzle. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on YouTube under the MCU's Bleeding Edge, or you can find my solo stuff under Cyberneticshark. That's also on YouTube as well. If you like our content, definitely check that out. Check out our website, the MCUBleedingEdge.org. I also want to give a shout out to the Podcast of Champions because they're just awesome and we love them. And you can check them out at freeforms.sakar.net. And, just it's great to have this great panel. Great to have all you on here. Great to have our two newcomers, Tony and Maddie. Thank you very much for coming on. Great to have Kat and Gunnar and Jeff back.
High five, Maddie. High five.
High five. High five. And so whatever you guys would like to plug, if there's anything you'd like to plug, starting out with you, Kat.
Well, hey, if you're ever looking for good geek news and to make sure you stay up to date on everything, always hop over to www.geeknewsnow.net for all of your geek news articles and updates. We also are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all your socials. If you want to hear more of my opinions on fun DC shows and other geeky news, you can always catch me on Saturday nights with the Geek Gauntlet Podcast on Twitch and YouTube.
Most definitely. And hey, big shout out to Maddie. Maddie did a great job. Her first time ever on a show. I think everybody should just give her like a big clap.
Good job. Good job.
It was really great to have you, Maddie.
It was great to be here.
It was one too many likes, but
I know. I'm so awful with that.
I do the same thing. I hate it.
I should know how to not do that because I was in musical theater and stuff like that for years.
You'll do better.
Yeah.
It's all good.
This is your first time.
It's first show jitters. It happens.
You got this. You got this.
It's all good. Anyways, how about you, Gunnar? Anything you would like to plug, sir?
Yes, thank you, Jeff, earlier for mentioning Snap and MCU Podcast. That is one of the two shows I'm currently doing. I'm also
you better get me back on here there soon here, bro.
Yeah, man, we got to have you on. We've been kind of slowed down. We've been taking our time just with this time off. We recorded a Spider-Man show, which hasn't released yet, and then we're going to do a Peacemaker show. I think we're going to wait till that ends. But I'm also hosting We Have to Go Back, which is a Lost Rewatch podcast. And both of those shows are part of the Wide Open Mic Podcast Network. WideOpenMic.net for those shows and a bunch of other cool stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. And, of course, Jeff B., is there anything you would like to talk about, sir?
No, I just plugged it. I'm Jeff B. I'm a frequent guest, man.
That's right.
On MCU's Bleeding Edge.
Frequent guest on the MCU's Bleeding Edge.
Right.
And I'm open if y'all need me on anything else. So
awesome. We will definitely have you back, sir. Anything you'd like to plug, Mr. Tony?
I am mildly nerdy, over-opinionated. I am Tony Kaz. Of course, my podcast is the Podguyz Podcast. We do live shows every Monday, talking about all sorts of topics. But I'm also with the Certified Nerd Authority, or the Complete Nerd Authority, as well, the CNA Geeks. And of course, we happen to do things all throughout the week as well. Nerdy, non-nerdy, not, everything crazy.
Tony, you're going to get me in on some of that shit, right?
We will, sir. We will. Actually, I have you on my show set up for the 28th, sir. The 28th.
That's right. That's right. Thank you for reminding me about that.
All right. Awesome. So yeah, people, if you get a chance, definitely go check out all those amazing podcasts, all those amazing channels, all that kind of good stuff. Once again, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Throw a hangout to Mr. Audie, who was with us for a short time. He was having technical issues. Thank you for being here as well for the short time you were. Your contributions were great, Audie. And of course, we're the MCU's Bleeding Edge, and we'll catch you in the next one.
See y'all.